This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 830. My Way with My Wishes. Enjoy. I went through this, and this is, and Ciaran, you can tell me if you disagree with this assessment, but to me, this just looks like it's a series of 4 entries, and to me, it just looks like a rundown of everything that we have learned so far about Tony and the folks at the Archaeology Guild and what exactly is going on with the Monolith since archaeology arrived.
It also seems that it kind of reveals the cards of sort of the different people that are involved, sort of perhaps verifying some speculations about who's who and who swears fealty to who, and like it. There's a lot of factions involved, and I think this sort of acts as a little reminder that all of these are at play, and probably sort of sets up the events soon to happen.
Yeah, so this is written from the perspective of Lottie Reiniger, the acting guildmaster when you start off the skill, who you go to for the archaeology tutorial. And one of the first characters mentioned in the first entry is Zaphos. And this was something you had to pay attention to before archaeology launched, but it turned out that Zaphos was this figure that came over to the Archaeology Guild when Tony was studying the Monolith, handed him what turned out to be a chunk of blackstone, which in the entry they call it Cursed Shard, and when Tony used that on the Monolith, he was, of course, sucked inside of it. So that's the first link that we have forged in the first entry here. And this was in the archaeology pre-launch. So if you were just paying attention to archaeology, you did the tutorial, you weren't around for pre-launch, you might not be aware of that. So that's something that is potentially going to be on the horizon going forward. Next, in the letter that Reiniger was writing to Tony, they say, "I'm angry that you left. I can't leave, Tony. No one leaves Silhouette." Then there's an asterisk beside that, and further says, "And don't give me that. You must have known something was afoot in the guild." And this is the first we heard of Silhouette. Now, the next paragraph says that like any good clandestine order, Silhouette keeps track of its members. Make sure you're towing the line, enacting Zaros' will from the shadows, and they'll hear the first word of dissent that passes your lips, hence sparkling demeanor and perky grin. Now, first glance at this, you might think that Silhouette is the same organization that was pulling off the Inquisition, but based on what we know, that really doesn't make sense, does it?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it makes sense, because first and foremost, let's just go into this. Any good clandestine order, we know from, I think we were talking about this in pre-show. Did you say it was the last piece of the Zaros collection that when you hand that in and hand it over to the person there, that they say that the Inquisition is part of the Praetorium Guard?
I don't know where that is being said, but oh yes.
Yeah, that's
Soren says that when you hand in the
I couldn't remember her name.
Yeah,
and based on that, I think we can say that Silhouette and the Inquisition are not the same group. And what this effectively means is that you have 2 different factions behind the scenes that are working in addition to what we see on the surface at the Archaeology Guild, which we didn't anticipate going in, because this is the first we heard of Silhouette. Of course, we heard a lot about the Inquisition in Azanadra's quest from Sir Valance and Valinius, and spoilers going forward for the next 20 seconds. The Temple Knights link is revealed there as well in Azanadra's quest with the with the Inquisition. And it's not explicitly said, but I think during that quest we pretty much confirmed that's what was being alluded to with the Temple Knights and the various forces operating behind the scenes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. On the second entry, it goes on, Reiniger says, I've been studying the Monolith since you left. You could spend a lifetime looking at this thing and barely scratch the surface, but one thing in particular sticks out to me. A series of strange glyphs, older than anything I've tried to decipher before and like nothing I've ever seen. And for this task, even our most venerable primers are a little more than dog-earned lantern stands, and more source material is needed, and the name Zaphos comes up again, speaking of going back to the early days before we infiltrated the guild. He recruited me to help Nabanik build the temple, found a failing student and gave her purpose. He values my resourcefulness, but has never truly trusted me, so he keeps me where he can see me. So, is this a second guild infiltration happening here? Or was this just the Zarosians effectively laying the groundwork to take over the guild in what we saw at the end of Azanaj's quest and presumably what we're going to see on Monday?
I mean, Silhouette is definitely infiltrating the guild.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I don't know if the Inquisition is really infiltrating the guild, right? It seems to me that the Inquisition is a much more ancient power.
Yeah, and perhaps more watchful, I'd say. Mm-hmm. More watchful. Mm-hmm.
But it's also interesting how, the Inquisition is sort of, all about, I just had it open here, they confiscate powerful magical items. So that's, I guess, hence the name, right?
Right.
So it seems interesting.
And the Inquisitor staff.
Exactly. So it's interesting to compare that to Silhouette, who is sort of it seems that the goal of Silhouette is to
Silhouette
investigate
is deep
the Monolith. But Silhouette is investigating the Monolith, right? They're trying to figure out what's up. You get the Blackstone being delivered by Xevos. You get Reiniger being super interested in these glyphs and the Monolith. So it sounds to me that there's something happening there. And the fact that, she mentions somewhere, the Inquisitors catching up with them, that it seems like they're sort of opposite.
And the Inquisitors are trying, in effect, and this was said in Writing in the Walls, the Inquisitors are, in effect, trying to gather these powerful objects when they appear to prevent them from falling in the hands of people that don't necessarily deserve them.
Exactly, and it sounds to me that maybe they believe Silhouette doesn't deserve.
And that would make sense if the Inquisitors and the Inquisition was founded based upon the Temple Knights. But remember from our discussion with Ma Jack, the rank and file of the Temple Knights do not know about their behind-the-scenes allegiance to the Zaros side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Inquisition also comes from the Praetorian Guard originally, right? So, there again, and the Praetorian Guard is like the secret police. To me, it gets really complicated. There's now all these, on top of having this layer of all these god factions, the Zarosian faction seems to be shrouded in layers upon layers of new things. So
and hidden organizations underneath.
Yeah, to me it's starting to all sort of jelly together in my mind. I find it hard to follow and keep.
We need a big whiteboard showcasing everyone's allegiances with color boundaries and boxes about who's working with who and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's super interesting, and at least in Clan Quest, I have seen pages upon pages upon pages of lore speculation and all that stuff. So, there's clearly a group of people that are completely into this and trying to speculate.
Oh yeah, I'd love to do this each and every week on the podcast, and I knew there was a reason we had to come back on Friday for this. But continuing on.
But my point is, I'm more of a fringe lore player, right? I like the overall story, but I'm not going to go digging into journals and books and get the nitty gritty of the lore. And to me, it all starts spinning a bit. So that would be my criticism. It's all getting a bit too involved, and I really hope that we're going to get some answers soon,
right?
Just so we can reduce the cognitive load that I need to bring on any quest in this storyline.
Yeah, I mean, sure, there's of course a high level one that anybody who can follow, who just wants the basics, is there, as was in Azanaj's quest, but you can dig so much deeper. Continuing on from this, Zaphos continues to be mentioned, and one of the tasks that they wanted to do was organize an expedition to the Orthan dig site because there's an artifact there that Zaros wanted. And based on where he was standing in that one yak track, it was outside of the Moksha ritual device. So I assume it's that ritual device at Moksha that lets you transfer consciousness between beings that he's interested in. Because could he be wanting to transfer his consciousness to like an actual corporeal being?
This is Zaros we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole strategy around Zaros seems to be around elder gods, so perhaps he is going to try and swap his conscience with one of the elder gods? Or is that too much to
that might be a little bit too much, and that could be what was on the way with Orthan. But anyways, the second log concludes by Reiniger saying, "I'll send a couple more of our ruthless recruits along who'll make it look like I tried and whose deaths won't cost me too much sleep. And one another, someone I can trust to slip away quietly and return with what I'm looking for, if it's there at all." And of course, that's referring to us, the World Guardian.
Yes. Yes, there is another mention later on, I think. I'm trying to find it.
Third entry?
So, yeah, the third entry talks about the agent, and that agent has a very specific gender.
Okay, so that's not us then.
No.
No.
The running theory, I think, is that it is Laniakea. I mean, procuring stone tablets.
Right, and doing things around Anachronia, that would make sense if it were her.
Was there some mini quest that we did around?
Yeah, it was helping Laniakea. It was at the start of the Anachronia thing in 2019. Yeah. And they also they also mention us here, the rising star in the archaeology world is helping to step up with the guildmaster duties.
I mean, that's us.
That is
sure.
definitely us. All right, fair enough. And then Reiniger says, "This is my chance to step aside and make myself scarce. I'll use my new free time to study these texts, joy and discovery, and all that." Then the final message, "I am struggling to comprehend what I've discovered. As for what happens next, I can't say. With the source tablets from Orthan, it was relatively straightforward to translate. Shadow, then another glyph. Existence, superlative. So shadow matter, shadow of all, shadow everywhere. Then it's stuck.
I mean, that's got to refer to shadow anima,
yeah,
right?
A figurative phrase, contextualized by conflict, antithesis, and negatively made manifest or anathema, as we have said in, I believe it was Desperate Times, that was alluded to.
Anathema? I would call it anathema.
Oh, well, I mean, potato, right? But this is indeed referring to shadow anima.
Yeah. It's starting to turn into the antimatter of Gielinor, right?
Yeah, and that's a theory we've had.
Or the dark matter, or the dark energy, or like one of those. Yeah, it's fascinating.
And they continue to say, I couldn't help it. I spoke the word aloud, and as it came to me, the glyphs glowed brightly. And we know that the monolith, or the codex, reacts to shadow anima because it is, of course, that when Guildmaster Tony used the Blackstone on it, based on shadow anima, that he was sucked inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that, of course, shadow anima is the thing that created Raksha with the monolith as well. So this is, once again, recapping everything that we know up to the point of Raksha so far. And then we got one of those very convenient 3* scene change markers. I love it when writers do that.
Mm-hmm.
And following from that, they say, I came into a cold sweat, and now as my mind attempts to process what I saw or didn't, the memories are disappearing as quickly as I can put ink to paper. Lord Zaros is on his way. I know that now. And, I mean, this is, once again, things that we knew at this point. I think we're coming off of Azanadra's quest with this, right?
Yep.
And the world must know what is coming, or it will be the end of everything. I could run, but I wouldn't get far. Better that I stay here and face my fate head on. See you again soon, Tony. One way or another. And this was released this week in preparation for next week's start of the Elder God Wars. So does this mean that Reiniger's set to become gobbled up by the Codex?
No, I think Lottie Reiniger has very apocalyptic ideas of what's going to happen if Zaros gets to that monolith.
Mm-hmm.
And if the world is going to end, then what's the point in running? I think that's what she's saying here, right?
Yeah.
I might as well just wait here, face what's coming, instead of trying to run away from inevitable destruction.
Mm-hmm.
So, the stakes are being set incredibly high.
You can find full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. If you found this video useful or just enjoyed it, like and subscribe, or leave a comment.